Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fittest. I'm so excited to have IFBB Pro Christina Bitner on with me today. This is a huge follow-up episode. I don't know if you know this, but you were the second person that I interviewed when I started doing interviews on the podcast. That was almost 2 years ago.
Oh, that's crazy. That's awesome though. I feel special.
Well, you're incredible, and I would dare say that I would call you a friend. It's gonna make me cry.
You're gonna make me cry.
Yeah, I appreciate you. We've talked about very personal stuff back and forth a lot, and I think this is going to be a really great episode because there were so many things at different stages in the last couple of years where you were like, I'd really like to talk about this part of this journey I'm going through. And so I think we're just going to talk about all of this and where you are now and what your plans are. And
Sounds great.
I know it's going to be so relatable to a lot
I
of
hope so.
Yeah. So I wanted to first start with your competition history. Let's talk a little bit about what happened over the last couple of years, which led you to here. Because last I spoke to you on the podcast, I think you were getting ready to have a year. You competed like 4 times. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I won my pro card, it was in 2017. Didn't have a really good pro debut. I did good for being a pro debut, but naturally you don't want to go and not do well. I ended up getting 11th out of 20 something girls. And don't get me wrong, that like touched my heart. I was so proud of myself. Then I switched coaches. I went to John Jewett. Really changed the game with him. He's so smart, so smart. So in 2020, that was my best competing year. Absolutely best conditioning to date. I did the Tampa Pro and I got 4th, which was my first time really like hitting a spotlight, I guess, in the women's physique division, because it was 4th out of like 26 girls and some incredible women that I had admired for so many years. Then I went to compete last year, didn't do so hot. And I told my husband, that's the name of the game. It's a tough sport. There's a lot of incredible people. You're always going to go in front of a different judging panel. You don't know what they're going to want. So it was really a tough transition to go from like prep, off season. And I told him, I don't know why, but I'm feeling super different. And I'm thinking it's time to make a change and maybe take a year off. And that's what I chose to do this year.
Okay. So you're not officially like retired.
No.
Okay.
But so many people have asked me that. In my heart, do I want to be done? No. But I think for mental and physical reasons, it was absolutely needed to take a year off. Because I was go hard from 2015 until now. So I've been putting my body through like a lot for 7 years now.
Is there, do you struggle with, I can say this, I think, because I'm outside of the sport, women's physique is one of the toughest categories, and it has really become something so freakish and almost impossible to attain that I think women who are competing in women's physique really have to put their body through some serious shit in order to be on, that top tier, top 5, top 10 in the world, unless you have some sort of crazy genetic,
I knew you were going to say that. I'm not a genetic freak. And so it's like when you're told you need to be bigger. And then so you train really hard to get bigger. And then you show up bigger. And then you're told you need to come down a little bit. Or you're told you need to be more conditioned, which means more leaner. So you put your body through a lot more stress. And then you're told you're too lean. And so you're just like, what's the balance here? It's tough. It's tough.
What I love about your story too is that I think because we are in this instant gratification society, and so many of the women that you are able to follow on social media now, there's been a lot of, like, you see so many more people competing, and so many of these women have do have that genetic factor. Maybe they possibly were, let's say, pushing some drugs pretty hard for a short period of time, and boom, they're in the pro circuit within just a couple of years. I don't know what's going to happen with some of those people, if they will end up burning out, or if they, you know, kind of tapped into their potential. But many of the women like yourself took a lot of time to get to where you are and had to struggle competing in that top tier, just to, you know, just to get into the top 5 or 10 at a show. So it's not always just like you get on the pro level and now you're at the top. Now some people really have to claw to get their way up there to the, you know, trying to get to the Olympia and so on.
And you know that saying, they say less is more. Some girls think more is more, and it's not, and it's not. And it's so tough because I never want to be disrespectful. There are certain things that I would never do. And there's certain things that I know that women will do to try to get to the top. And to me, that it was getting to a point where it wasn't worth it, really. Because at the end of it all, like, what are you doing to your health, right?
Yeah.
Like, was it worth it? And I hate to say this because I admire the sport so much. I'm so beyond grateful that I won my pro card. I'll never forget that moment. And like we just said, I'm not saying I'm done. I mean, I hope to maybe come back after this current goal that we'll talk about. But it's tough because I don't know how far I would push it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would.
Yeah. I think it was interesting what you said, that, you know, in your mind, you want to do it, but it's almost like your brain knows, like, there's only so much I can do to myself, and I can push my foot on the gas pedal before the repercussions are going to, you know, are going to rise.
So I have to say this, and like, this is where I feel like I don't want to be disrespectful. Someone said, and it was a friend that I won't say their name. They said, so you've been doing it for so long, and you know, you've done well, but you haven't won a show. So is it really worth it to just go and get a trophy or a plastic or a medal? And it's like, oh, damn, when you put it like that, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm like 2 hours of cardio, pushing diet, missing birthdays, missing events for maybe to do well, right? And that's tough.
In your mindset, you're so drained and everything when you're doing it. So you're not really, there's like gaps of time that you're missing because you're just not even with it for whatever. You could go to a birthday and be like, well, I'm going to stick to my diet and not eat the cake, but you're also not at your emotionally, physically best self to enjoy a situation, you know?
Oh yeah, because if you reach a certain point in prep and then your energy is like really low, and I love people, I can talk to anybody, I'll talk to random strangers on an airplane, but when you're like drained and depleted like that, and you're at a birthday party, like you said, you don't have the energy to carry on a conversation. And then you feel like you're being an asshole because you're like, look at the clock, like, when is it time to leave?
Right. I think that's part of the reason why this sport does get a bad rap sometimes with people, because it's like you caught them, like, this is, you know, their job and their goal, and you caught them, like, you want to ask, like, what does your diet look like? And they're like, I'm just trying to get my training done so that I can go home.
Yeah. Well, okay, so my daughter, who's 6, it was her birthday in April, and my mother-in-law, she's so supportive. I have the best mother-in-law in the whole world, but she goes, you can't eat one slice of pizza. And I was currently still prepping because I was going to compete this year, and then I decided not to. What's funny is I decided not to 2 days after her birthday party, and then I was angry at myself because I missed her birthday party. But my mother-in-law's like, you can't eat just one slice of pizza? And she goes, it's your daughter's birthday. And you're just sitting there like,
Nice.
Like, don't say something angry. Don't be mean, you know, because it's tough, because you want to be like, you're absolutely right. I can't eat at my daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
But you have a goal in mind, and so you're sticking to it, and you're disciplined because you need to be in this sport, and you are going to miss out on events, and it is tough.
This is the, you know, like I said, unless you're some sort of genetic freak, this is the winning mentality, where it's like no variables change unless we change them. And that's exactly how it has to be. Yeah. it's one of the things that we had talked about is this transition, which I understand myself, never got onto the level that you or many of the women that I talked to got on, but transitioning from that, okay, I'm like, I'd like to compete again. I would like to do it one more time. I still am trying to train and diet in that way with a goal in mind. And yet in your head, you're just like, I can't keep doing this to myself. I can't, like, it's the ship has sailed, you know what I mean? And it takes a long time to get to that point. But I know you said you were struggling because you're like, I'm eating like normal things now.
Oh, what's crazy is, okay, so when you're competing and you are doing so much cardio and training so hard, you're so hungry, counting down the minutes till you can eat again, right? And slowing down the training per doctor's orders, I'm not as hungry. And it sucks because I feel like, I'm not healthy. I'm not eating enough. You know what I mean? And then when you do finally have an appetite, you want to eat some bullshit. That's like, that's not good. And you're just like, ooh, pizza sounds great right now.
Yeah. Well, I personally, just in the last few months, I'm like, I've been eating chicken for like at least 3 times a day for, I don't even know how long. And to be like, what did normal people eat like? And trying to grasp that is really, it's really hard.
So true, because my sister will be like, Christina, I ate a salad and then I ate one of Madeline's chicken nuggets. And I'm all, Katie, that's not enough food. And then now here I am like, oh, food sounds disgusting. Ugh. Right? Like, oh, I don't want to eat. And then you're just drinking water, but then you're like, ooh, a glass of wine sounds good. Like, oh, that sounds delicious.
So funny. I can totally relate to this whole diet thing. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're like you have to, it's like rediscovering food and like not weighing it and like being okay with.
Yep. Like being like, I'm going to dinner and I'm ordering food and I'm not saying no butter, no oil, none of the, you're just ordering food and you're eating it.
Yeah.
And it's normal. You're a normal human being. You know what I mean? Balance is great, but it's tough. I have been struggling. It's tough.
Yeah. And I think the pendulum will swing, like you said, because you tend to eat, you're like, oh, nobody is stopping me from eating junk food. And my goal doesn't permit me to or prohibit me from eating junk food. So I guess.
Or I'm not putting on a suit and having to send photos to somebody. So it's okay that I have some fat, because nobody's going to see it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a good accountability point though, too. Like if you do want to stick with things more, I know keeping yourself from going too far off the deep end would be continuing to do your progress pictures and continuing to weigh yourself once a week or whatever.
Absolutely. But I'm a firm believer that I think, and I say this all the time, if you're not competing, beauty is not a number on the scale. So if you go off of your clothes, like if you put on some clothes and they feel a little tight, then know that you need to rear it back a little bit, right? But when you constantly are looking at a number and you're like, oh no, then you think you're ugly or fat, and then people, you know what I mean? And it's like, no one is like looking at you. Oh, but that girl weighs this much. You know what I mean? Nobody is doing that.
Well, and the number on the scale is so like when you're going up and down, gaining muscle, losing body fat, or even now in a more downsizing period too, you're just like, that number looks different all the time.
Yes, it sure does. Sure does. Like my husband stands on the scale every morning and I just look at him and shake my head like, what are you doing? Because then he'll go, oh no. And I'll be like, you did it to yourself. You're looking at that and you chose to do that. I'm not doing that. And then my daughter will stand on the scale and she'll be like, look how healthy I am. And I'm like, oh, you're so healthy. And then she's all, let's see how healthy you are. And I'm all, no, I don't need to. Mama knows how healthy she is. Like, hell no, I'm not doing that. Because then it messes with your head.
Yes.
And then it puts you, because this, we fluctuate water and with anything we eat, drink daily. So that number could go up, but that doesn't mean you gained 5 pounds of fat overnight, but girls will stand on the scale and think they did,
or get super excited when they, had diarrhea for 3 days and they lost 8 pounds. You're just
Yeah, you're like, you just like shit yourself some weight off like that. That's not real. Yeah.
drink your a gallon of water and it's gonna all
Mhm.
come like that because it was just
Yep, absolutely. Or just have one meal and it's like up 5 and you're just like, what?
yeah. Well, and that's part of the reason why, like your mother-in-law saying you can't have one piece of pizza. It's not that there's so many things involved when you change variables. And so if you're doing, this healthy lifestyle and flexible diet, you have to understand that the scale is going to fluctuate and
Mhm.
it doesn't have any bearing. You're not going to gain body fat that quickly over.
No, you're not going to.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I was going to ask you, I was so curious about your childhood. Did you have your parents just did like the bestest job ever raising you? Because I just think
Oh, thank you.
the most sweetest, positive person. And I'm hoping that you had a good, healthy childhood.
You're so sweet to say it. When we talk about this, why I'm so emotional, but my parents were incredible. My mom, she would give you the last dollar in her wallet if that's all she had. My dad worked so hard. I mean, I would wake up sometimes for school and he was already out of the house. He was already working. So they put that work ethic in me. But I think the nurturing of my mother was what turned me into I was like the one at school, like if someone was upset, rubbing their back, are you okay? Not like making fun of people, but also I was like that dork as a kid, like the chubby stage where you're like little pudgy, and I had braces and glasses, and so I wasn't the cute one. And so like people always say that's when you have the best personality because you don't have the looks. And it's so funny because I went to my 10-year high school reunion, and now in high school I blossomed and lost the glasses, lost the braces, and I was like fit. I was on dance team, so it's like I turned into like this I guess popular type, but because I was friendly. And then I was like my senior class clown. I won that at my senior prom. Like I was the funniest girl. And it's so funny to me because I wasn't trying to be. It's just like who I was. And I do think that the dorky kid is what turns you into, you do get the personality, like because you're, I don't know, making up for the fact that you're not like Miss Beautiful, gorgeous, you know what I mean? but yeah, but my parents were pretty incredible. Unfortunately, they're both in heaven right now, but they were incredible.
Oh, tell me about that sometime. My goodness.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, like, I don't mind saying it right now. So my mother growing up, which was also showed me strength, she had ovarian cancer when I was like 12, beat it, but then had to get on medicine for it, which gave her blood clots in her lungs, which caused her to have a stroke, and it unfortunately took her life. And then 3 months to the day, literally 3 months later, my dad had a heart attack and died. And the optimistic, beautiful part of me thinks he had a broken heart and he missed her because they were married for 34 years. And so, I mean, but it was super, super tough because losing your parents 3 months apart, but that's what turned me into bodybuilding. I quit the restaurant I was working for to do my cakes full time. I joined the Muscle Factory and I started training. I wanted to get more muscle to do women's physique. So it's almost like I didn't want their death to make me like a sad, depressed person. I wanted to just, okay, this is not going to be my story. I'm going to do everything I've always wanted to do because life is short. And their death showed me that, so it kind of did turn me into competing and I mean, doing my cakes. And now I mean, you see, I do my cakes. So like sometimes I have to turn people away because I'm so slammed. And so it's like, I have a tattoo on my arm that says there's beauty in every reason. And it's because even something really, really crappy can be something really awesome because it forces you to be a better version of yourself,
Yeah. Yeah, you seem like that person that is able to just turn everything around and see the best in everything.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like there's days where you're sad and I'm like a date person, like a date will hit and I'll get like chills like, oh, today was the day, but then I'm all, nope, not going to be sad. Let's go have sushi and laugh, I always say celebrate something, don't mourn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Well,
Oh, thank you.
they would be so proud. They would be so, I'm sure they were so proud of you, but they would just be so proud of you. And
Thank you.
I had a friend of mine text me and she said, like, when my dad she's like, I'm sorry about your dad passing, but his light lives on in you. And I think that is the same with you. That beauty gets passed on and you carry it out.
You're gonna make me cry.
Well,
I wish they could have met my husband.
yes.
When I got married, I asked my uncle to walk me down the aisle. And it was really sweet because he like hugged me, and it was right before we walked down. He was all, your parents are here. They're watching you. And I was all, oh my God, no, I just got my makeup and my dress is on. I love you. Don't say shit like that. But you're right. It's sweet though. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about your father.
Oh, thank you. It was, he had been gone for a long time. So it wasn't sudden and unexpected. So that was okay. You know what I mean? It's still obviously tough, but
like you knew it was coming, but then when it happens, it hits hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And you have to get used to those empty spaces where you are expecting your parents to be. And I know I need to stop like almost crying. I know that like you said, it was so nice of your uncle to say that your parents are here. But you have all these milestones too that I'm sure you think about, like, I wish
absolutely.
my mom was here. Yeah. Or my dad. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they had already passed even when I won my pro card. And so to not be able to call your mom and be like, I did it. That was tough.
Yeah.
So it was like my sister. My sister is like I say she's like a mom to me because she's older. So, I mean, it is tough.
Yeah. One of the things I'm really close with my mom too. And it's just like how many times I call her when I don't know how to do life,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I always say like Brent, like his mom, she's hilarious, but she calls him like 3 or 4 times a day. And he'll be like, oh my God, she's calling again. And I go, no, sir, answer the phone. Because there's a day that she's not going to be calling you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know. And then he'll answer it. And he loves her dearly. They have the best relationship in the whole world. But I remind him, she may not be here tomorrow. Like tomorrow was not promised. So like, quit being an asshole. Like, get over your grumpiness. Put your work aside for 2 seconds and answer the damn phone. You know, it's true.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, you can't take those moments for granted at all. And we all do,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, well, Christina, I know that we were going to talk to you about, let me go to your, hold on a second. I am going to go to your Instagram.
Oh, my word.
And, and I think we got here. And we'll go find you.
Oh, there I am.
There you are. And all of your stepmom to 5.
Yes.
See, God knew what he was doing with that. Excuse me, my nose.
Oh, absolutely.
So what is it like having instant 5 children?
So a quick funny story is so when I met Brent, I was doing a cupcake booth at Rock's Nutrition because Kai Green was there. And I was there, and Brent came with 2 of the kids, and he got one of my business cards and messaged me for a cake for Emily because she was turning 1, and made a cake for her. And then I started doing cupcakes for his plumbing and AC business. There's that beautiful bald man. And then he finally, after 6 months of just doing like cupcakes for him, he asked me to dinner, and we're at dinner, and I knew he had the 1-year-old, and I knew that he had a 13-year-old, Brittany, who was doing rodeo. And then he starts talking about the boys and softball and baseball. And I was like, what? And I go, how many kids do you have? And we're like drinking wine and having sushi. And he's like, well, Macy's 9 and Tyler's 10. And I just was like, holy shit. And I just started drinking my wine because, you know, I had zero. So I'm sitting here at dinner with this awesome dude who I'm having this connection with. And I'm like, you have 5 kids. But then learning that he had full custody of all 5 of them, that's an incredibly admirable thing. And I was so attracted to him because that's unheard of, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, to have 5, I mean, they were all born in my heart. Like they're my kids. Like I will say my son. I won't say my stepson because I mean, I think stepmoms are moms too. You're a mom. You're doing your part, and we have them full time. So it's a full time job, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I had to laugh because when you had texted me, you're like, I just adjusting to, I won't say exactly how you said it, but adjusting to how your body, you know, I look at the picture and obviously you still look very muscular, but you feel like you're like, I've lost a lot of muscle and I've lost like,
I feel like I'm even smaller than that photo right now.
And it's funny because, you know, the other day I was at the gym and I told Anna, I go, it was really busy and it was mostly guys. And I'm like, I'm walking through there and like people are staring at me. And I think, oh yeah, I guess like I'm pretty muscular, but I always think about like the people I know who are so muscular. So I don't think
Yes.
about my physique as being anything.
You hit it right on the head.
Noticeable.
It's like, but it's true though, because you're someone's goal.
Yeah.
You're someone's goal, you know, like we may not be like my beautiful friend Michaela Aycock, you may not be jacked like that, but you have some muscle on you and someone wishes they had the amount that you have.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But it's hard to see it though.
It is. It's so hard to see. It's so hard to see. And even when your weight fluctuates and you're just like, oh, like I haven't lost that much size. And then you're just like, oh God, I have lost, you know, like
and you're like, do not go look at past photos. Cause then you're like, oh shit. You know?
Oh, this is funny. All right. I think I might have to read this off my phone because I think our images are in the way. So I'm gonna.
It was my most favorite post and I didn't realize how many people it touched.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is a tough subject because it's like people need to know, when does bodybuilding end? How does it end? And what do you do and why? You know, why are we what's the exit strategy? And so, you know, this post really, I thought this post was the sign that I needed, that it was time to do the podcast with you and talk about, you know, all these things. So it says, so I hope you're able to take some time to read this. This year has been very different for me. And if I'm being very real, difficult in a few aspects. Goals changed, how life changes. I decided not to compete this year and I didn't realize what it would make me feel like. When your goal for 7 years straight, no breaks, is suddenly not what you will be doing, it's a tough transition, mainly because it takes you out of your element. Like, who am I? The cake store I go to for everything said, have you lost weight? And I said, no, I've lost muscle. But truth, I'm okay with that. Then being a woman, you feel fat. If you're not lean, you feel like people are looking at you saying, she looks different, or she let herself go. Meh. To every single woman who has endured changes, competed, stopped, went a different route, you are beautiful exactly as you are. Current goals: keep making bomb-ass cakes, be a badass wife, be present for people and friends, be the best mom I can be, and trying to make a baby. So that's where you're headed now. And so what is this process looking like for you?
Well, like, just to touch on the post, as soon as I posted it, you know, like, I'm not someone who gets on social media to get likes.
Yes.
And I'm grateful that I reach people. I'm grateful that I motivate people. I didn't realize I was literally in the kitchen and I looked at my phone and it kept saying like. And I was like, what? Like, that's just like me, you know? And then I got maybe 20 to 25 messages in my DM saying, thank you for this. You have no idea how much this meant to me, how much I needed to read this. Women who competed that don't compete anymore, women who are still competing but taking a break. It made me so happy that it reached women in general, because it's so true. But so to answer your question, I kept staring at women lately that were pregnant, and I was like, that just looks so fun, like just so cool. And I love my husband so very much. And we've said so many times, like, okay, so Emily, when I came into her life, was 1, now she's 6. I'm 100% fully adopting her in the next couple of weeks, and it melts my heart for that. And so she is my daughter, but it would be so cool to experience something with Brent. So I told him it, and I walk into the office and he's sitting there at his desk, and I was like, I think I want to have a baby. And I thought he was going to like look at me like, what the hell are you talking about? And he goes, okay, oh, okay. And I was all, so I think I'm going to make an appointment with my doctor and see if it's even possible, because I just turned 38. I said, if I'm not going to compete this year, I think it'd be really cool to use this time to make it happen. Right. And so, I mean, clearly when you compete for as long as I did, and I know that you know this, but for people who don't know this, when you put your body through that much cardio, that much training, you lighten the lining of your cervix, which basically is your body saying, you're not going to be able to house a human. You don't even have a period. So I didn't have a period for 6 years. And so I wanted to just see, am I even okay? Like, is my body okay? And so she basically said, and this goes towards the post, you need to stop training as much as you are. You need to lower your cardio. I would maybe do it 3 times a week. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to get fat, right? And she's like, because you need to start to thicken the lining of your cervix. And I'm just like, okay. I get that. And then Brent, which melts my heart, I have the most supportive husband. He gets online and he starts looking up all this stuff. He's like, ask her this. So I brought a piece of paper with me, and she told me basically like what I need to do. So we started doing what we need to do, and it is making me an emotional hot mess. Yeah, everything makes me cry. I'm a different human. So it's tough because you're being told, okay, like you want this goal, then guess what? You have to stop doing these goals.
Yeah.
That's tough.
And it's a complete 180. And this is like you have a goal that's completely opposite of your previous goal. It's not even just people getting out of bodybuilding and trying to learn how to live a normal life. Now you're like, I got to do almost the exact opposite of what I was doing in order to reach this goal. Yeah.
But the stuff that you're told to do, like having to start taking like progesterone shots to like level your body back out, the estrogen creams and things like that, it makes you emotional, but then it makes you almost like nauseous, like sick, to where then you don't want to eat. And you were used to being like looking at the clock, like, when is it time for my next meal? And now you're just like, ugh. Like I was saying to you, like you're like disgusted. And then when you do want to eat, you're like, ooh, pizza.
Yes.
Well, like, God.
It's uncomfortable. I know I went through progesterone and a couple of rounds of Clomid when we were trying to get pregnant too. I was bloated all the time because it makes you have like tons of cysts on your ovaries, and it hurts. And oh my gosh, I was grumpy. I was so grumpy. I'm like, I'm uncomfortable. Like I feel really chubby, like my belly is really full. I just, all these things.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Because it's true, but you're not chubby. It's what you think. And it's because you like my post, you're taken out of your element. And so it's almost like like when people do prep, they look at their photos and they're like, I'm not lean enough yet. And then you go back later and you look and you're like, I was shredded. It's almost like you think you look a certain way, but you really don't. You're just emotions, hormones suck.
Yes, they do. Well, and it's all relative also, because, it's like, it's unfair to say, like for me to say, oh, you still look like somebody everybody would like to look like. And you're like, yeah, but to me, this body is foreign because I've been living in this other body for 7 years. Because there's nothing wrong with it. Just doesn't mean that I'm still not uncomfortable in it,
Yep. Yeah. I think that's what I want like women in general to understand that, okay, one of my very best friends said something to me one day when I was telling her, after I posted that, she said, I have a great job. I have great friends. My husband finds me beautiful and attractive. And she said, and people don't like you because you're lean or because you competed. They like you because of how you make them feel. And I read that and I just started crying because it's beyond true, right? It's true. I mean, like, so when you think about your very best friend, you're not like, I love her so much because she weighs 115 pounds. She's so petite and tiny. Her waist is so small. No, you're like, you know what I mean? It's because she's funny. She's there for you. She'll come over. Y'all can lay in PJs and watch movies and laugh about stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's who people are. And so it's so funny because even though I know these things and I say these things, I need to start to believe these things. And I wish more women would believe that you're absolutely beautiful as you are.
Well, we are, bombarded with, I mean, especially this industry, but, photos of perfection and people even, photoshopping their pictures and everything else when they're already beyond what anybody else could even be looking like, you know what I mean? So the message doesn't fit, the message doesn't fit the message. So it's really, really tough. It's really tough.
Well, and nobody posts their ugliest photo. You're not gonna post a photo that you look like fat or you think you look fat. You know what I mean? People filter it, it's like, oh my word.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And
Mhm.
like your post said too, it's like I feel like women aren't like part of getting out of the sport. People are just like, oh, they let themselves go, and it's like, well, no, like a lot of these women stop taking performance enhancing drugs, which they should, because obviously that's not great to be taking forever.
Nope.
And I mean, I think about it too, like when I see people I haven't seen in a few years and I'm thinking, oh, they're thinking she's aged. I'm like, yeah, I fucking aged. That's what happens when you grow older. Like the alternative is death. So I'm all right with aging.
Yeah, but you're gorgeous. It's so funny because, like, when we were kids, like our moms in their 30s, they didn't look the way 30s and 40s look now. You know what I mean? They didn't look like that.
I saw this TikTok where this woman was like, she's like, I'm 35 years old. And people are always like, you don't look 35. And she goes, I do look 35. The problem is, or 35 or 45. She's like, a 20-year-old thinks 45 is old. So they're expecting a 45-year-old to look old. We're not old. Like,
you're not old.
Yes.
You're not old. God, we're old when we're like in our 80s with walkers. You know what I mean? That's old.
Yeah, I know. There was this old man in this man in one of the apartments. He was like a Vietnam vet, and he got hit with Agent Orange, and he was just this incredible guy, and he passed away. And I was just like, how old was he? And the mailman told me he was like, he was 72, and I was just like, I thought he was like pushing 90. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like 72. That is not long enough to have lived and then die. Like,
no,
it's not old. It's not old.
No, it's not. I always ask people, how young are you? Because it's true. Because you're only old if you truly feel old.
Yes.
No, I don't feel old. I know I'm getting old, but it is what it is. It's inevitable.
How are you doing with, I know that something that you and I have in common is hypermobile joints, and you've struggled a lot with shoulder injuries and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is something, when I learned it, it really enlightened me. And so I just want to reiterate or repeat this for people who don't know. If you have hypermobile joints, bodybuilding is going to be a difficult sport for you because the joint is, my doctor described it, so that your joints are loosey-goosey, your muscles try to tighten up to make sure that they don't hyperextend all the time. So you're much more prone to injury, even if it's like little injuries, that type of thing. So I think that puts people out of the game a lot sooner as well,
To be honest with you, that was something that was making me think I needed a break before I wanted a baby, because my right shoulder's horrible. And I went and I did a shoulder MRI on it. And I had ground down the bone to where I had bone on bone. The humerus head was like, he said, I think you have another year in the game if you keep pushing it this hard. And it got to the point where I would go to lift, and as soon as I reached up like this, you would hear it click. And it wasn't that it was clicking, it was the bone hitting the bone. And oh, it sucked. And I got real emotional one day at the gym, and I was voicing one of my good friends and I was just like teary-eyed. And I was just telling her, like, I don't think I should compete because I'm in pain. Like, I'm in pain. So he gave me a steroid shot in my shoulder, but he said it's going to wear off soon. And it wore off. Like, there's nights where if I'm sleeping on this shoulder, it starts to ache and I have to roll over to the other side. And it sucks because I know it's because I pushed for so many years, you know?
Right. Well, and just having this genetic condition doesn't help, it doesn't help.
No.
Yeah, I don't really I do light overhead presses, but they're
Yeah.
in neutral position now.
You find ways to train around it because you don't have a choice because it hurts.
Yeah.
And it will ache, and yeah, it kind of sucks, but I guess, I can't say that I'm like angry at it though, because of the accomplishments that I did make, but I do think like, damn, I kind of hurt myself a little bit,
I think people don't realize that there is wear and tear for a lot of people. And so it's like, goes back to this, you don't look like you used to. And it's like, well, you can't train like that forever. You can't.
No, absolutely not. Nope.
So, yeah, I do miss a good barbell overhead press though, man.
Oh, I miss going heavy.
Yes.
Like just being able to just throw it up and everything feels great. Being 25, 27, now I'm all 38, crying like an old person walking out of the gym. Like, damn it, mother.
I know you're like, gonna need some icy hot on this.
Oh, seriously, Brent will put like what is it called? Biofreeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a guy, he's a chiropractor, and I think it's Ohio. He makes this product called Phoenix, like a rising phoenix, PHOENIX, kinetic cream. It's quite miraculous. It's like a combination between icy hot and it's got some other herbal type stuff in there. And I'm always like knee, shoulder, like
head and toes and elbows and fingers.
Yeah, but you can get it on Amazon. It's like, it's really good stuff. I feel like it's a lot better than the icy hot type stuff. So yeah, you're like, you're old when you smell like menthol all the time.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. When you're walking around like smelling like an old person, like medicine and creams all over you, popping your pills in the morning to help your joints.
I know. And then smearing yourself with oils, trying to stay moist.
And then here I am all old, wanting to have a baby, but.
I think it's, you're going to do, so how far do you think that you'll take this? Do you think you guys will look into IVF or anything like that?
What I love about Brent is he said that if the pills and the creams and getting so I didn't say this earlier, but after I didn't have a period for 6 years, it came back. Like it came back and it was full force for like 4 days. And I was excited. So my doctor said I need to have another one. And then that's when you start the clomids and things like that, because then it's like an active menstrual cycle.
Yep.
Brent said, you can't be impatient. We got to give it at least 6 months. And I'm all, 6 months of feeling fat and like not doing a lot of cardio, you know what I mean? But then I'm all, nope, don't talk like that. You don't talk like that. We're going to have a baby. It's going to be awesome. But we did say, yes, there are other methods. And so if the creams and pills don't work, we'll absolutely try to do IVF.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I'll just word this as best as I can, but you guys you have the financial capabilities to do this. And so I think it's definitely, that's awesome that you can.
Yeah, we're both hard workers and we try to do really well for our family. And so, I guess I'm such a competitive human being in general. So, when you want something, you do everything you can to get it or to achieve it, right? And so I really want it. And so I'm going to try to make it happen really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that there's that technology out there. But I understand that though, too. We had to, it was like 6 months, and
Oof.
oh my gosh, I think that first year, well, I was like 108 pounds when I got married. I was so tiny.
That's
But then after fertility treatments, I was in the low 120s. So I mean, that's if you gained 15 pounds trying to do something like that was just fat, you
Yeah.
would feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yep.
hard.
It's so funny because it's like, I'm like 150 and I'm all, oh, I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to get to? And I told Brant, if it doesn't happen, then I'm losing 20 pounds. If I'm not competing and I'm not pregnant, then I'm just going on a massive diet. And he just like, was like, what? But here's another thing. And this isn't like for people who compete or like my post who have done it, stop. If you're not willing to take stuff anymore, to put on size because you're trying to regress to make something happen, if you do want to go back to it, then you have to work really hard because you are going to lose a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then if you're not willing or wanting to do it anymore, it's almost like, are you really going to do it again? Because then what are you going to do? Like train for another 2 years and then I'd be in my 40s trying to do it,
Yeah. I just think that there's a lifespan to it. And if you start earlier, you probably have more years, but
Yes.
I mean, I didn't compete until I was 30, almost 38 the first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was like, why am I still doing this? You know what I mean? Like there's no sense in doing this into like till I'm almost 50. You know what I mean?
And okay, so I'm really grateful for this. Like, I never had any like weird sides with anything I took while I was competing. Never had like hair loss, hair growth, and nothing bad, right? No bad skin. But you see people and you see them changing and you see their faces changing, you see them losing hair, and you're just like, ooh, like, why? Like, why? And so, like this is a new path for me and it is tough. It's a tough transition. And I reached out to, I don't know if you follow her, Jenna Reed. She had competed for a little while and she stopped and had babies. And I mean, looks like a normal, beautiful woman right now. But when she was on stage, incredible, And so I was asking her, how do you feel? Like, how do you feel? I also reached out to Delane Hart. I love Delane. She decided to not compete anymore. And I was just asking these women, how did you feel? What did you do? What did you go through? What were your emotions? And all of them would say, I feel better. I feel happy. I'm with my family. I'm doing this. I had a baby. And, it's like, I realized that like, okay, and I'll be very real. I don't think anyone is ever like, what is Christina doing? And going to my page to see when I'm going to compete. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be an Instagram star. So it's not like I'm worrying if people are wondering what I look like and so you have to remind yourself of those things when you're going through these changes, like if Instagram was deleted tomorrow. Yeah. What are you going to do with your life?
Right. Well, like I think bodybuilding, it has a time frame. And I think, what happens, like there's so many ways that people exit from this. It's like they keep competing and they keep falling places, or, they push themselves too hard and they end up, having thyroid damage or kidney damage, or, the hormones are too much. And some of these women get lots of viralization. And then they just kind of, or people just disappear. And I think there's a lot of shame in stopping the sport. And I struggle with that because we need to normalize that this is not something you can push your body through for 20 years. You can't do that to yourself. So, like when Shanika Grant walked away from this, she got so much shit. And it's like,
I know. And it's like, why do you give a damn what she does with her life?
Yeah. Oh, she's a sore loser or this. It's like she won 2 Olympia titles in her early
Pretty badass.
Like, who cares? So
yeah, I just said to one of my best friends the other day, I said, I'm so happy I competed because I wouldn't have met a lot of my best friends.
Yes.
I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have posted as much. I wouldn't have been so active in the sport. But the downfall is the way it changes your what am I trying to say? The way you look at yourself. Because I would have never look at me, an average woman walking around like the grocery store and be like, oh my God, that lady is, ooh, you know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, that's a pretty girl. You know what I mean? But it changes the way that you feel about what beauty is. And like, if you're not muscular, if you're not lean, you know what I mean?
There's
So,
an identity. There's an identity in building, because I mean, be honest, you build the physique because of what it's doing to your body. Like it's
yes.
not just about the love of training, it's the love of the results of training.
Yeah. But then you do get used to, you know, walking around and people being like, oh, like, and oh my God, what do you do? You know what I mean? And now nobody's asking you what you do because there's nothing impressive. You just look like a normal human, you know?
Right. Right. Yeah. Because if I go, oh, I was like, Anna and I kind of got into this guy at the gym, and he was like, oh, if you ever need any help with anything, or if you ever need a spot. And Anna was just like, he doesn't know that you've competed. Like you've been doing this for 10 years. And it's sad, but it's like, I can't do what I did in order to look like that and be healthy and happy and functioning. I can't walk around at 130 pounds and, you know, I can't do that. It's too lean. I'm too tired. I have a ton of work to do with my jobs and I need energy for that. So I can't walk around looking like I'm about ready to step on stage in 6 weeks.
No, absolutely. And like another thing about why I decided to take time off is like when you have that many kids in the house and then you're doing 10 cakes a week, having to do cardio in the morning, make time to train, pick kids up from school, and then do more cardio at night. It was a lot. And I was getting to the point of like, it was tough to be on my feet for 16 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's exhausting also. Cake decorating
oh, it is. And then you're going to bed and you're like, my love, can we just love on each other tomorrow? Because right now my body hurts. Now with our new mission, I'm all, wake up and do your job.
Oh my gosh. I remember too, when we were trying to get pregnant and my husband, I was like, he's like, we have to have sex again.
You're all,
like, it's time.
So funny. Oh my goodness. My sister was all, Christina, you really want to have sex that often? And I'm all, yeah, we got shit to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like a once a week thing. It's like a once a day thing.
Yeah.
And we'll just say that Brent is very happy and on board.
Well, see, and that's why your marriage survived and mine didn't. So
well, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's fine.
No, I told Brent he's stuck. He's stuck until he's 100, and he's all, I don't want to live till 100. I'm all, please, because I plan on it.
Yes, absolutely. A healthy 100. I want to just be healthy. You know?
Oh yeah, he makes jokes that if he's like senile and like doesn't know what he's doing, to push him in front of a bus, and I'm like, no.
Oh my word. I told Anna I'm going to find like the most beautiful place on earth, like a waterfall, and just like step off. I'll be like, I'll see you later. Like if I'm losing my mind or something.
Yeah, I'd rather just drink some wine and go to sleep and then just be like, right? That's horrible. That's horrible.
That's awesome. Well, I feel like I was thinking with all this and this post that you did, I think what a lot of people need to do is pay attention to the signs and the signals that are being sent to them, you know, via God and the universe and everything else. And I think that's like you being paying attention to like, what do I really want? How much am I going to push this with bodybuilding when getting to that top level is not easy for you? It wasn't easy for you, you know, and you got to think about what it's worth and exit strategies. I mean, I talk about this all the time, which is, why I love interviewing the women who have come out of this, Juliana Malacarne now, I mean, she had her baby at, how old is she?
She's in her 40s, right?
Yeah, 44, 46.
I mean, she's beautiful. And I, when you and I spoke, I know I mentioned her, but Kira Newman, I adored her. Like, I admired her. I still do. I think she's an incredible person. When she announced that she was retiring from the sport, I remember that was when I was at my peak of trying to be my best. And I had just won my pro card, and I messaged her and told her, your post made me cry because you're someone that I have admired for so long. And I was so sad that she was like retiring, but I was actually like really proud that she was following like her heart, And I want women to know that like your worth is not what you do. Like, I think a lot of girls think I got to be the best. I got to compete. I have to win. And if I don't win, I'm not good. And it's like, people remember how you treat them and what you know what I mean? Like, I believe this. I really want a lot more girls to know that you can follow a different path. Like, I mean, be passionate about other things. Find something that makes you truly happy.
Yeah.
Because putting your body through the ringer is not going to make you happy.
Well, one of the things that surprised me, but didn't surprise me when I talked to Juliana, was she said that, having won 4 Olympia titles and everything that she did and competed for upwards of 20 years, I think she did. She said nothing.
She did 14 pro shows before she even won a single one.
Yeah. And she said that nothing compares to the joy and satisfaction that she has gotten from being a mom and having a baby. That
makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope this for you, and I wish this for you, Christina, but regardless of what happens, you're a beautiful person that has so much to give, so much energy and positive energy that you bring into this world. And I love that you're being a mom to these 5 children because they need you, and this will be fulfilled in one way or another.
I appreciate that so much.
I truly believe that. And I love too that you're understanding the importance of being a parent, because it's obviously my greatest joy as well. And I just think that in this day and age, there's a lot of flack for people wanting to be parents or choosing to take on this role. And we need good moms. We need good moms. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I love you for that. And I thank you so much for those words. I think like at the end of the day, the impact that you can make on kids or just being a really good parent goes far beyond. Like, for me, I told Brent, like, I want to be a mom, and I know I already am a mom. I know I'm a mom. That would be so much greater than winning my pro card. Yes. And like I said earlier, like, I mean, I'm not saying I won't ever compete again, but at the same time, this means more to me. Yeah. And, like watching them, and like our oldest now, Brittany, is going to be 20 soon, and she's getting married. And she asked me, she said, I don't mean this in a bad way, but are you going to be dieting at my wedding? Because I want to do like mom and daughter things. And like, it like hit my heart so bad. And it makes me like want to cry. It made me feel like, was I not present? Like, was I, and I know that I was, I know that I make the effort, but it did make me feel like, why would she say that? Like, have I not been there for certain moments? And that's where I just walked in the office and told Brent, like, I'm not going to compete this year. Like, I'm done.
Yeah. I think as much as some people can handle the balance of it and can really put a lot into it, it's kind of like, I mean, kids, they just know when, as much as you're trying to 100% be there, like you said, you can't override what your body is feeling when you're in the depths of prep,
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. Well, Christina, is there anything else that you wanted to share, that you wanted to say?
No, I think I just, to anyone that watches this and like truly listens, if you like, it's like my post. If you've done something, whether it was bodybuilding or a different sport, and then you, for any reason, stopped doing it, and it made you feel a certain way, but believe in your heart that you're still an incredible ass human.
Yeah.
And your worth goes far beyond that, like far beyond that.
Yeah.
And the days that you think you look really great, when you're like, man, I look good today, believe that you look like that every day. You know what I mean? You're not feeling that some days, and that's okay. It's okay to not feel okay. It's okay. That's what makes us human. But try so hard to not dwell on those things, because life is far greater and we're not promised tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you said it at the beginning when you were like, you know, when you're outside didn't, you know, you didn't have like what society would have pictured as being like what is appealing for someone to look like. And so you worked really hard at being a good person and making people laugh. I think
Yeah.
people need to focus a lot more on their personality and what they contribute to the world, because stepping out of this sport, I know, getting into my, getting near 50 now, it's just like the outside changes and it will keep changing and you can't stop it no matter how much exercise or, anything that you do to try to slow down the aging process. And it's just like, you have to be focused on what are you contributing to the world. And it's not just, it's not just your physique.
I never competed for vanity. I didn't do it so that someone thought I was like badass or beautiful or muscular, or someone thought I was, so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some girls do. They stay in that realm because they think that that's what they have to look like. So someone accepts them. Looks fade. We get older. Now, first of all, I pray I look like he was close to 50. Like, pray for that. Pray. But I really, you hush. I really believe that though, because I think confidence is tough, and I think there's a lot of people that don't have it. And I just wish that more people realize that, like, who gives a fuck what you look like? I mean, just be a kind person, treat people good, have fun, laugh, enjoy your life, be healthy, obviously, because you want to be around for a while. But like, I mean, okay, so on one hand, I'm always going to put makeup on. I'm always going to get Botox. I'm always going to make sure that I'm put together. But at the same time, if someone thinks I don't look good, you have to be like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you rely on other people's opinions, you're gonna be a very sad, miserable person.
Yeah. Yeah. And if people are judging you solely on, I mean, this is why you try to have like a good personality and be kind and do things, because, the outside does change. You don't want people judging you solely on what you look like. That's ridiculous,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But like, just last thing I wanted to say is like, like I was telling Grant, like, I know I've lost muscle. Like, I know I have. Okay. When you're not taking stuff to help you progress, and you've been off for a while, and you're backing off of training in general, not as hard as you were going, you are going to look different. And it takes you out of your element extremely. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like what I said about my friend. My husband finds me attractive. I'm a really good person. I'm talented with what I do. I work hard. So it's like, why am I worrying so much about if someone is looking at me thinking I don't have muscle? You know what I mean? Because who gives a damn?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that you're very strong just for having that mindset and being able to comprehend that, because I think a lot of people do struggle with that type of thing. But I think of that. Have you ever seen the Disney movie Tangled? Where
No, I know it's the hair.
Yeah.
But I've never seen it.
She there's a line in there and she's like, well, I've accomplished this goal. Now what happens? And he's like, you get to find a new dream. And I just think that's exactly where you are now. And I think that would be my advice for somebody who's transitioning out of this is you need a new goal, and just to leave is going to be very difficult because you're going to be grieving and pining for what was. but to have a new dream puts
No,
you.
you're spot on. No, I'm so grateful that I have like a job and a talent, and I love my cakes, and I love doing what I do. I love seeing someone so happy over something like cake. But there are people who don't have any other thing. They strictly are bodybuilding, and when that ends, I worry for where their heart will go, because what are you going to do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're absolutely like spot on. Like, find something that inspires you, that makes you happy.
Yeah. And there's ways of, I mean, like I said, part of me staying in the sport was doing the podcast, so that was my way of being able to stay in the sport. But people get into judging, or they get into doing, expediting or whatever it is. So there's always ways of, having a passion be an element of your life. But I do think people need to be multifaceted, or you're going to be stuck when you lose something. Like, you can't put all your eggs in one basket,
My old coach, and I know that you might follow him, Shelby Starnes, obviously. I was with him for 7 years. He said the day he stopped competing, it was because he knew he wasn't going to succeed in the sport. He said he wasn't a genetic freak. He was never going to make it to the Olympia stage. And he would rather be involved by coaching people and making other people's dreams come true. And that's incredible, because it's true. It's like, if you can't do something, then find something, do something, right? Do something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to think about that before that time comes, because you don't know what is going to, throw you from it. Place. I mean, it could happen a lot quicker than people, you don't always get to choose what ends your life.
No, I know. Like Brent told me the other day, he said, I understand how you're feeling right now, because we'll be at the gym and I'll like get teary-eyed because I'm not as strong, or I don't feel like I'm not lifting as heavy as I was, and I just look at him and I have like a little bit of like tears in my eyes. And he'll be like, I understand how you feel. He's like, you did something for such a long time and you're not doing it any longer. And it's tough. Like, it's tough, but it's tough for who? Like Joe Schmo over there is not looking at you like, oh my God, she's lifting lighter weights. You know what I mean? But you think people are noticing that you're lifting lighter weights. You know what I mean? Yeah. You just got to be happy. That's the biggest thing. Be happy.
Yeah. And I think the more that you tell yourself, the more you're going to, it's kind of like a fake it till you make it with some of this. You have to, just remind yourself. Yeah.
It's like, but it's also like those stupid quotes that people are like, what is it? Like, why do you care? They're not paying your bills. Like, right? Like, you're not living my life. You're not doing what I have to do. So why do I care what you think about me? And I really want more people to think that.
Yeah. I mean, these are, a lot of this is judgment. You know what I mean? This isn't people supportive of you. So yeah. Cause like you said, this post, everyone was like, yes, we're so supportive of you, whether this is retirement or this is a break, in order to, because people who know you know that you love children and you love your children. And yeah.
Life changes, things change. It's kind of like 10 years ago, would you think you'd be doing what you're doing right now? No. But things change so quickly. And then you're like, damn, I'm really happy that this happened,
Yeah. Being aware of, like I said, I think you have signs all the time of where you should be going and what you should be doing. And I think we ignore it for a little bit until it just
absolutely. Or people are delusional and tell themselves lies, and you're just like, no. You know what I mean? Oh, but it's okay. I'm at peace with it. I've made peace. I love my new goal. I'm going to do this. I'm not, like I've said, I'm not saying that I'm never going to compete again, because I know it's always there. It will always be there if I decide to just pick up and diet again. But at the same time, like I'm happy. Like I'm happy. I'm living life. I'm being present for my family. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Christina, if people want to follow this journey and follow you,
I'm going to be posting it.
Yes.
Hopefully I'm posting a sonogram photo saying it happened.
You're gonna just lose your mind if that happens. You just are gonna.
Oh, I'll be an emotional wreck more than I already am.
Yeah. Oh my.
Bawling my eyes out.
Well, I pray for that for you, and
Thank you.
you know, God is good and he gives us what we need. So
I agree with you, and I thank you for that.
yeah, for sure. All right. Well, y'all, you can follow Christina on Instagram at Wakes and Cakes. You can find me on Instagram at buffcake22 and follow the podcast at the Women's Fittest. And
Yay.
yeah, and remember that healthy looks different on everybody.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Christina.
Thank you so much. I love you.
Love you too. Have a great
Okay.
day, everybody.